اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
Welcome to our 30-part Ramadan series on wisdom to feed the soul. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin salatan tufrihuhu wa tus'iduhu wa turdihi wajzihi biha anna ma huwa ahluhu ya arhamar rahimin wa alihi wa sallim. Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. And Alhamdulillah, we're continuing through this blessed month of Ramadan to look at some of the words of wisdom and some of the lessons that we can draw from tremendous people of the past, luminaries. And there's many of these, but one today we're going to look at just really stands out. So this is an event that happened in the life of Sulaim bint Milhan. She's the mother of the famous Sahabi Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhuma, who was the servant of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was one of the early Medinan Muslims. Her husband at the time, Malik ibn Nadr, he wasn't pleased that she'd accepted Islam. He left the house, and one of his old enemies from Jahiliyyah caught up to him and killed him. So she married someone called Abu Talha, amazing Sahabi Medinan, companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they had a child. Abu Umair, this child was called, and he's the famous child in the famous hadith where the Prophet, where this child Abu Umair had a little bird, maybe a budgie or something, and it died, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam consoled him. He went in, he said, "Ya Abu Umair, ma fa'ala an-nughair." It rhymed, and he was consoling him at the death of the bird. So Abu Umair, this young child, he was quite ill at one point. And his mother put him to bed, and then her husband Abu Talha left. He left the house, and the child succumbed to the illness and he died. And Sulaim radiallahu anha wa ardaha, what she did is she prepared the child, wrapped him up and everything, and she waited for Abu Talha to come home, and she fed him his food, and then they were together, they were intimate. And then when she found the best moment, she said to Abu Talha, "Oh Abu Talha, what are your thoughts on this? If a household lends something to another household and then they ask for it back, what should the latter do?" And the normal form of thinking, which most people who have common decency, is that, well, they should return it. They were just being given it for a short time and they should return it. So then she said, "Ihtasib, expect a reward." And he realized at that moment that his son died. And what a painful moment it must have been. But she did her best to comfort him and make it easier for him. So there's a lot we can draw from this. I mean, one of the first things is that Talha was completely with Allah, content with His decree. She was happy and, with what Allah's choice is. Did she feel pain? She must have. She was a human being. But she put Allah's preference before her own. Allah tests His people, and she saw the matter for what it was. Allah gave the child, "Inna lillahi ma a'ta wa akhadh," as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said elsewhere, that what Allah gives and takes belongs to Him. So she saw this, and she saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test them with happiness for a while. So He gave them this child, and He wanted to test them. How would they be if He took His gift back? And there are many benefits. Obviously, this child would have been one of the means for them to enter paradise, and the whole reward from this whole test they would have got. They were blessed with another child. The Prophet prayed for them because they'd been intimate that night, and they had another child because of that encounter. And so compare this to the Jahili ladies, pre-Islamic situations where someone's husband, son, anyone died, they'd be slapping their faces, ripping their clothes, screaming, yelling. But here we have a lady just completely composed. And why? Because Allah's her Lord. Allah's given something, Allah's taken it, and she's saying, I accept. Ya Rab, whatever you want, I accept. And even something here as painful as losing a child, she was there ready to accept Allah's will. And she said to Abu Talha, فَاحْتَسِبْ أَبَا عُمَيْرٍ, expect a reward for Abu Umair. This is another thing we learn, that when patience is required, it's a two-sided coin. Yes, you be firm and you be strong in the face of the calamity, but you also expect a reward. And this is something Allah has encouraged us to do through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the rewards mentioned in the Quran, because knowing that it's not just loss, it's a replacement. Yes, there's a delay, or maybe it's immediate in the dunya, but what Allah is going to give will be something that will offset this loss, and you will gain and benefit from it. That is something huge. So just the sheer strength of her faith. Imagine if all of us, were like this, and the calamities that happen to us, the calamities that happen, in our communities or in the ummah, how much better would we be able to face it? So that's why we ask, oh Allah, make us content with what you choose, and let us always see the wisdom in it. And someone who's like this, who whenever a problem comes, the first thing their mind goes to is, Allah chose it, there's good in it, there's wisdom in it, I will benefit from it. And that prevents them from losing control and doing all of the other things. And this is the real test. This is the test where things don't go the way you want and things fall apart. How is your heart with Allah? You're allowed to feel the pain. That's not a problem. You're allowed to feel, hurt and, at the loss of loved ones. But how's your heart? Are you going to choose what Allah's chosen, or are you going to be upset about it? Right? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us firm, rooted, deep faith, like He granted to this blessed lady. Radiyallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha wa raqaha, and Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.